And we're live. What's up, everyone? Brad Modrich here, coming to you, bringing you some value, hopefully giving you some nuggets to make your day better. We're all going through a struggle right now, from financial, spiritual, mental, physical. We're all going through it right now. And I got two guests on today that I've known these guys for a very, very, very long time. Not only are they going to be able to talk about the idea that I had to help you guys, but these two guys are in my network marketing business. And in terms of leaders, they're both great leaders. So I want everyone that's following today, I'm going to put their Instagram handle up. Hey, we got some people showing already. We got Big Tom with us. You know these guys, Big Tom.
What's going on, buddy?
You know him, and then Big Nathan. There he is. This guy's everywhere. He's unstoppable.
There he is.
But I got Dave Bergio and Eric Vallata, two very, 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 very special guys in terms of what they do, and we're going to talk about. Let's just get down to it. We're going to talk about your credit, right? This isn't a motivation speech. This isn't a, mindset speech, which I've been typically bringing on a lot of mindset and attitude changing and, be that rebel rouser. But the reality, let's get to brass tacks, right? There's a lot of people that are having financial stressors right now in terms of not being able to pay their bills, being late on payments, all kinds of stuff. And the reality is people's credit is going to get effed up. It's going to get messed up a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is just facts. But your boy is here today. I got two credit experts with me, Mr. Dave Bergio and Eric Vallata. What's up, guys? Good morning. Thanks for
being with us today. Good morning, Brad. Thanks for having us, man.
I appreciate you having us on the call, man. Any way we can help,
absolutely, man. So listen, first thing I just want to talk about is, let's say I can't pay, my credit cards, right? Let's say I can't pay my Macy's bill. Is my credit screwed?
So, that's a great question, and believe it or not, 30% of what your number, the actual score is based on is your payment history. So yeah, unfortunately, the real answer is that if you don't pay that bill on time, every month that it marks you as a late payment could be affecting you negatively, sometimes 30, 40, 50 points, depending on what you have open as well. But there is a way to save it. That's what I love about what you just started with, because it sounds like a storm, but we can get ourselves out of it. And you want to keep in mind, credit is an algorithm too. So if you're looking at, if you only have 2 accounts open in Macy's, like in your example,
hold on a sec. So I know nothing about credit. Okay. You just said a big word there. What's that mean? My credit's an algorithm.
Algorithm, meaning that, like there are certain things that are going to equate and affect your score differently. For example, like late payments and payment history is 30%. It's one of the biggest impacting things on your credit. Whereas like an inquiry is the smallest thing on your credit. It may only be 2 to 3 points. And algorithm, let me explain. If you have 2 accounts open, one of them is late, 50% of your payment history is based on that one account. Whereas if you had 10 accounts open, now only 10% of your payment history is based on that one negative account. So we got to take a look at how we can offset that once the damage is done.
I just learned something new today. I'm glad. And this is the purpose of it. Like, I want to educate people that are out there because, in all of my coaching calls and, the people that I have that I consult on a weekly basis, they're pulling their hair out thinking, saying, I can't pay my bills. What do I got to do? And I know this is going to sound really kind of shitty, but let's say, I get a certain amount of, let's say I got my stimulus check in. I'm just going to use this as an example. I get my stimulus check in and I got, $3,000, but that's the only money I have. Now I got to feed my family, right? I got to pay the electric bill to make sure that, I have electric, and thank God. And just disclaimer for any of you out there that pay an electric bill, call me. I could save you a couple bucks.
A lot of money.
Just let me get that plug in there real quick. Shameless plug. And then I got to pay my electric. I got, mortgage. I got these credit card bills and department store bills. If I'm going to miss anything, right? If I got to put that money somewhere, what should I be paying first?
Well, some of the most difficult things to remove are going to be foreclosures. You know, if you're not paying the mortgage, that's a very, very severe derogatory mark. Repossessions on vehicles, very severe. You know, there is level of severities. Credit cards, utility bills, believe it or not, those are things that we need to keep on. Credit cards and things like that that don't get paid, if they go to collections, the only problem is that if you don't pay a bill, typically for 120 days, it'll close itself and it'll automatically get charged off and therefore won't be active anymore. Now you got to pay a one lump sum to bring it back to life.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do specifically is I get rid of those things for people. I get rid of the collections, the derogatory marks, the late payments. There is a way to challenge and dispute and salvage your credit report so that we can clean up that information. And 99% of the time, these are my clients' debts. That's the reality. You went through this tragic situation. I went through one myself in 2007 when I was a real estate agent and the market wasn't great. You know, I lost my house and my car. I actually went through a divorce and I had to get myself back out of that mess, building my credit payment history back up, opening up new accounts, and establishing new relationships with new banks. There's always a way.
Okay. So obviously making sure that your house is paid, that mortgage, your car payment, those are two things you definitely want to kind of make pay. And just so you know, disclaimer out there, people that are going through it, you have the ability, you have options. Like here, I called Wells Fargo and I called Infinity and they just push it back, man. Based on my payment history and my credit and everything that went through it. They were very, very laxed and willing to help. So again, make sure that you're calling these different places to see just what your options are.
Correct.
We got some people joining us here. Let's see what they're saying. First off, I love giving these shout outs. This is my girl, Rebecca Randall. What's up, Rebecca? What's up? I think we all know this one. She's been a loyal supporter to me. This one, we all know her. What's up, Wen?
The Fembot.
Big Kev, Big Keith. And then we got Joey. This is my boy, Joey Ortega. He's down in Florida right now.
Joey, what's up, my man?
What's up? And then we got Miss. How long does it take for your credit score to go up once your credit is paid off? That's a great question, Teresa. Who wants to answer it?
Well,
I'll answer it. Yeah, go ahead, man. I mean, there's a couple different factors with that. I mean, sometimes there's and Eric, going back to what he said, different algorithms. It all depends exactly what's on your report. Well, hey, what else is on that along with that credit card? You know, besides, you know, is there other open debts? You know, have you been late on a car payment or something like that? It's not just credit cards. There's everything else in that goes along with that picture. Now, let's take this a little further. If that's your only credit card that you have and nothing else, you know, it should take another billing cycle before it comes up. Your percentage of usage is now 0. Okay. So now you don't have any outstanding balances or anything like that. So now a lot of misconception that people have, going back to Eric was stating about the algorithms and stuff like that, that 30% a lot of people don't understand or know about of usage. So people take assumption that, hey, I have a $500 limit. I'm going to burn $500 and then, you know, and then I'll be good, or burn 400 out of that 500, pay it off a little bit. And now your credit score just tanked. Well, why? You're over 90% usage on that. And people don't understand that. So if that's the only thing that you have, as soon as you pay that off, usually it takes, you know, the first of the month till credit reports kind of catch up with themselves. It should boost you back up. It all depends exactly what that scenario means. But if that's the only one that you have on there, and if it's paid off right away, it will reflect on the next billing cycle. And that's kind of how the bureaus catch up with that too.
So let's just say usage, or let's say, you know, I have a $500 credit and I only have like $200 on there, right? I'm not at like a full cap of it and I can't pay it. And I think this is what Teresa might be alluding to. Let's say I don't pay it. I get dinged with a 30-day late. I get dinged with a 60-day late. How long does it take to have something like that make your credit score go back up? You know, let's say you get back on your payments, you catch up, you're starting to pay the bill off. How long do those two dings take?
So what I normally recommend we do to get those things lifted is there's one of two ways. If the account is still open, number one thing that the customer should do is, like you said, try to avoid the late payments. Right now, a lot of companies, even myself included, on some of the vehicles, they're not accepting payments till like July, August. So they're giving customers a leeway to kind of save that money because of what's going on with the virus. They understand that people are out of work. So it's not like, they're not working with you. But to remove a late payment once the account is paid off, typically that can take a dispute 30 to 60 days. If the account's closed, if the account's still open, it's more than likely not going to come off unless the customer does what's right and continues making on-time payments. And it's going to take at least a good 3 months of on-time payments before they can see a score reflected or a lift that they're back up to par of where they should be. So, one late payment could take sometimes 3 on-time payments to kind of show that algorithm is evening out again.
Okay, great question. And then
here, can I add one thing to that too?
Yeah,
real
please.
Quick. Also, if that is say that's your only late payment, and sometimes they'll work with you, sometimes they won't. But I always suggest it's good to call in, like yourself, the client, call in and say, hey, look, you've seen my history, you've seen what I've all about. This is the only late payment. What can we do to get this removed? And sometimes they're willing to do it, and sometimes you're not. But it's a good way to get in there. And hey, I've had a handful of people, a bunch of people, where they said, okay, you know what, we see your history. Yeah, we're willing to remove that for you.
Okay. How about this? This young lady too, Senior Director, Miss Communications.
Yeah.
So 30% is the usage we should stay under.
Yes.
Is that kind of the rule of thumb?
So banks want you to use credit, but they don't want you to exceed in a high risk category, which is in excess of 30%. So on your $500 credit card example, your balance should remain at $150 or less at all times. And when you pay that $150 or whatever that balance is, you should pay it off in its entirety. You shouldn't have a revolving balance come over, bringing over interest from the previous month onto the interest for this month, because then you're just placing more interest. So you're just revolving interest around interest. But you should pay off your 150, keep your balance at 0 or as close to 0 as possible. If you do use credit, no more than 30% of whatever the limit is.
Okay. So real quick, we got 5 minutes. We got 4 minutes left. Dave, what are 2 good tips to give people right now?
Number 1, check your credit. Check it. I can't tell you how many people have no idea where they're at, where they stand at all. 2 good apps to use: Credit Karma, it gives you TransUnion, Equifax on there, and Experian has their own app. So now you have access to all 3 credit bureaus, and now you can see what's on there. And the other thing too, that I'll touch on top of that for the second thing, don't get caught up in the score of what those apps tell you, is because every time you go get a house, an FHA loan, an auto, especially in the auto industry, because their scoring model's completely different. Everybody has their own different underwriting as to how they evaluate. Just know exactly what's on your papers. And last thing I'll touch on that, we'll call it 2A, 30 and 35. Those are 30, 30, and 35. Those are the 3 most important numbers for a credit report. 35% if you're late, that's the highest weight. And what we've been talking about, 30% of usage, okay, is also 30% of scoring. So 65% is based on usage and late payments.
Oh. Okay, Eric, two nuggets to give people. That's good stuff. I'm learning shit today. I love it. Let's go.
Well, baby. For those that don't know me and obviously follow what I've been doing, I've turned my credit into a source of income, right? And for those that know, what we've been doing with our other businesses, I've used my credit to start my clothing company, the credit repair business, to invest in real estate. Credit obviously is the lifeline for you to close the gap between you and your financial goals. That it's the only way. Right now, you got to be on top of your score. Download Credit Karma. It's free. It's one of the easiest ways that you can be on top of what's going on right now. And more importantly, it's going to show you how to follow or track your progress. Anyone who's interested in knowing more, obviously can reach out to one of us for a free consultation. At the least, find out what's going on with your credit score and how you can change your circumstances, because what me and Brad and Dave are doing could be completely different. I can have an auto loan, he can have a mortgage or 5, they could be completely different scenarios. So Everyone's credit is different. Like Dave said, don't get, just based around the numbers. A lot of what credit is showing and that number represents is just your risk. So let's minimize your risk as much as possible and get you to get approved this year.
Love it. Quick question, and then this is going to be just a real quick. I know you guys only have 5 minutes left. Wanted to quick ask the difference between hard pulls and soft pulls and how that impacts. And then Afif had a question about what happens if you cancel a card voluntarily. Like just saying, you know what, I don't need this card. I want to cut that card.
So that always will reduce your credit score more than likely because, again, the algorithm of your age of credit is based on the oldest card you have open and your newest card you have open. So if you shorten that time, so does your age of credit, which so does your score. So you always want to keep cards open. What I have the habit of doing is I'll use a card. I just got approved for one at Best Buy, used it for $100, paid it off, and I leave it in my wallet for 12 months. Every month as that reports a zero balance, it's just as good as an on-time payment. And that's creating age of credit for me without wasting money on interest, without forgetting about a late payment. And I'm looking great on paper because my use is zero and my balance is, my limit is so high.
Love it. You guys.
And don't forget, you also lose whatever that available credit is. So if you're close to a 30% line, you're pulling that away and it can bump you up higher in usage.
Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, these are two credit experts. Look them up at Dave Bergio on Instagram, at evolve_empire. Look him up on Facebook, Dave Bergio. Look him up on Facebook, Eric Bellotta. Gentlemen, thank you so much for today. There's a couple more questions in there. I know Kim got another question in there. Go back into your Facebook feed and you can answer them. And gentlemen, thank you so much. Keep your credit clean. Remember, credit health, financial health, spiritual health, mental health, and most importantly, physical health. Let's go, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you guys.
And we are